yeah. Have you ever seen one of these things?
It's fake. This is vaporware. This can't be true.
Take a garden hose, stick it in the back of this
Futuristic thing with Tesla slapped on it. It's photo slop.
A lot of bugs.
My mind started spinning.
I think I want to invest in this company. It was amazing. I'd never seen anything like it. So we went, is this rolling?
Yeah.
I first reached out in 21.
Yeah,
in
because
2021.
Following the company before.
Yes, that's right.
Before we come
Here's the
to
emails.
California,
And
I
then
remember
early of 22. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
Being in Malibu parking, remember?
Yeah.
And you come back.
Or here at the beach here.
Oh, here in Santa Barbara?
Yeah, you came through Santa Barbara. My wife and I have been investing in property for many years now, and we've embraced the short-term rental ecosystem going on, I think, about 12 years now, and have done pretty well with short-term rentals as well as longer-term rentals. I think we had the second unit that was produced / sold in the States, right? And I always kind of saw it as a beta unit at the end of the day. And so with that, there were obviously a lot of bugs that needed to be worked out. My background was in software, so I kind of saw this as an early version product that I had expectations would need fixes, would need software updates and all of that. And I was, I think, very happy with the level of support that you and the house team was giving and getting people on site, working through different types of issues, and also actually seeing that a lot of the things that you were fixing were being brought up as new feature changes on future units. Obviously, that's very important and big to be able to learn from your sort of real life situations and use cases, and having our unit be, I think, probably one of the first short-term rentals that one of these units was going through is obviously a great, test of the unit itself. It was kind of exciting to be involved at that sort of product level and helping to sort of shape the next iterations of the Microhaus. I think we ended up renting it for, short-term renting it, mostly through Airbnb for about almost a year. Actually it wasn't even a year when I wanted to get more heavily involved, and so that's when we reached out to see if we could actually start investing in the company and be an early sort of seed investor at that point. So I was very excited at that opportunity as well.
I was really surprised to see that there's actually, it's not some sort of fake news, there's an actual product on the market that was going to potentially show up at my house or someone else's, or my property and someone else's, and be complete and real. It's a real house. The thing about it that's so exciting to me and why I found my spirit lifted and I was so inspired by it is because it's beautifully designed. It's a very simple, there's simplicity and elegance in it, and technology. And the technology reminded me at the time of the electric car I drive, and how I have so much fun in that car. And it almost felt like if you took that car and a lot of the bells and whistles and then you added so many wonderful aspects, you could have a little tiny house, perfectly designed. So for example, what excited me was this idea that you could take a garden hose, stick it in the back of this little tiny perfect home, and suddenly you have filtered water and clean air, and it's just so amazing. And my mind started spinning into all the possibilities, not just for me and my family, but how potentially this could really support and help so many people on the planet. So I whenever I saw the little clips, whether it was on, I think YouTube or wherever I was on my phone, I really paused and took a closer look at what was being presented. I loved the little ideas of it's almost like, again, it felt like a gift, a package, and again, it is actually delivered with a bow on it, which is so sweet. But the idea that I could open this perfect little space. And what was I going to find inside? A tiny, perfect little kitchenette, a beautiful bed, a gigantic window, a really nice bathroom, and very high-end finishes. And of course, the placement of it made sense to me. I loved that they happened to place it. Of course, I saw it on a flatbed too, driving through beautiful vistas in the neighborhoods, but I saw it placed amongst trees in a natural setting. And when you see it, it's almost like a little tiny spaceship that lands in the backyard on Earth. And if you place it just right, I later found out we can landscape around it and add all sorts of things. It becomes just a really, really integrated part of a natural environment, even though it's made of, in many cases, supersonic materials, materials that are so durable. And I loved the idea of again, there are beautiful homes. I've been in small ones and large ones, everything in between. But over time they break down, right? Because it's natural. They're made of wood or whatever it is, an ordinary, even wonderfully built homes. I was very intrigued by the idea that the materials used in building this little home were beyond the average, and they were beyond the technology that I was noticing in ordinary construction.
So Hannah brought this to my attention and said, I want to go look at this company. And I said, to put an ADU in our backyard or what? And she said, no, I think I want to invest in it. And I said, well, that's interesting. This is vaporware. This can't be true. This can't be real. Because I was looking at all these other things on the internet when she brought it up. And I was like, it's fake. Futuristic thing with Tesla slapped on it. It's Photoslop. It's not real. It can't be. They're just doing it for the advertisements.
But what you learned when you realized it's real?
It was amazing. I'd never seen anything like it. We are professional investors. We invest in, public securities and make private investments. For the last 15 years, we've been doing a lot of real estate investing, first commercial real estate, and then housing, and really leaning into affordable housing because we see there's such a demand for it in America in particular. And part of the solution is the construction process is just, it's antiquated. It's from the 19th century, not even the 20th century. So when Hannah brought this to my attention and showed this to me and the website and some videos she found online, I couldn't believe it was real. And there was an opportunity to go tour near us. So we visited a property that had not one, but two in the backyard, two different models. And we brought a contractor as well. And all three of us, we just were blown away. It was like a gift from the future. And just sitting there in someone's backyard. And when we learned that it was plug and play, that it could be delivered and installed in an hour, on or off grid, no trenching, no foundation, with very high level appliances and even dishware available, that you could be, within an hour you had delivery of a product that was ready to be used. We could not believe it. Because having done renovations on houses all over the country, we know how long that process takes. And it's never done. Even when it's delivered, it's never done. And so as we started having conversations with the founders and the management of HouseMe, the thing that I was really shocked by was not just the speed of delivery, but the durability of the materials and the way the care was taken to install very high-end systems. And we found out that they have a lot of experience in supply chain management, so that allows them to get the best of everything from all over the world into these little products, or big products, and that the maintenance costs on the other side of delivery are negligible. So when you look at the cost of ownership over, say, 10 years, there's no comparison between a product from HouseMe and a traditional stick-built or even modular prefab home. It's typical in California. So then it was just a question of the investment case. And so my background is I spent 20 years on Wall Street in the research department at a very big and prominent investment bank. I ultimately was the head of research globally, and I've looked at companies large and small all over the world. And so when I looked at the investment returns possible from a company like this, the key issues were, is there a viable product that's been built? How much capital has been raised? Is it enough to put a viable product in the marketplace? And I was amazed with how little money raised the House Me management was able to make a product that I saw, not just in this one place, but in multiple locations in multiple states around the country. So that check mark was ticked. The next stage was, how quickly could this diffuse? And that was a question of some regulations and just consumer awareness. And so when I looked at that, the question was, how much visibility were they seeing in the marketplace? And so the videos that are on YouTube and the other reviewers were fantastic about it.
I really loved the Microhaus.
10 out of 10.
It's completely insane.
The novelty of a supremely luxurious prefab tiny home.
It was a very seamless process to get it up and going for us. And so, obviously this seemed like something, a product that should be able to be rolled out to other people very, very quickly and easily. So that was definitely a selling point, as well as a point of being able to say, yes, this is a product that will do very well out there, and a company that is, only going up from this point. So that was a big driver for us wanting to invest too, kind of going back to that, seeing how you and the leadership at the company were taking these pieces of feedback and being very quick to incorporate, changes into these future versions. So here we are with a product that is again, like a beta level, very early stage product that's working very well for us, and it's making great money, and we're getting amazing reviews. And I'm looking at the roadmap and at what you're producing and saying, oh my gosh, this is only going up from here, right? So yes, I do want to get involved from an investment standpoint, for sure.
I love the idea as well that the founder, whom I later got to know, Max, has a real science background, and he is someone who enthusiastically created the product, developed the idea, and brought it forward. So it became an actuality, not just an idea, a design idea, on paper or in someone's computer. The prototype, it was more than a prototype even. And so my husband and I, once I brought the idea into our family and said, wow, there's this amazing company, I'd love to learn more about it, House Me. We had a chance to go and actually first tour someone who had installed 2 of them on her property, and then also a Zoom tour of the factory. So I realized that this is something that isn't just a dream, it's actually something that is here right now on planet Earth. It's already happening.
I think from my perspective, once I saw the product was there, the question was growth capital and demand. And the demand to me was in place because there was so much inbound traffic. It really was a question of then being able to satisfy this unmet demand. And so that was a question of just finding the right capital to allow them to expand inventory and production capabilities to satisfy that unmet demand. When Hannah brought the idea to me, when we invest in public companies, we have certain sizes that we like to make those initial investments at. When we invest in private opportunities, there are also certain sizes. But when it comes to startups, we kind of, we have a certain size we think of. And when we went to visit the showroom, so to speak, Hannah brought with her a number, and she turned to me and said, I want to double that. And I said, why not? Why would you want to double that? When she told me, I said, I want to double that. And so that was the investment that we made. We're both been so enthused about this idea.
A lot of the attributes that I was kind of referencing in terms of learning how the direction of the company and getting more visibility into how the company was applying a lot of learnings, not just from my unit, but from other people's units as well, to future versions. I think that was definitely very exciting for me to be able to see. The team, all of the investors, very early on, and still, but very early on, we're very enthused of the direction of the product and enthusiastic of the product itself. And a number of them were actually customers as well. And so being able to communicate with other folks who are on the ground using their units on a day-to-day basis was pretty exciting and promising from sort of a trajectory of the company perspective. It almost reminded me of, you know, some tech companies where I've worked at, you know, startup companies where, you know, things are kind of getting off the ground and there's just so much buzz and excitement around the direction of the company. To have, you know, investors who believe so much in the product was definitely a great positive. Other learnings, I would say, just, you know, seeing and getting visibility, I guess, into how much enthusiasm there was out there, and there is, you know, from a customer perspective, how many people want to get one of these units, want to be able to kind of you know, feel it and get inside. That was what really ultimately sold us on it, being able to actually climb in a unit, and it wasn't even plugged in, but it had a battery backup, and being able to, you know, walk inside and see and touch and really take in all of the thoughtfulness with the lighting and the electronics. And, you know, my wife and I were like sold instantly on that. But a funny story, I think it was maybe 2 years ago, we were up at our cabin in the mountains here in Southern California, and we went to a woodworking place to pick up, I think it was a custom carved wood sign that we were buying. And so randomly, the guy who owned the shop was on his phone, and he's like, "Oh yeah, have you ever seen one of these things?" And he shows me his phone, and he's looking at a Microhaus, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." He was actually looking because he wanted to put one on his property up in the mountains. And I was like, you couldn't have, you know, brought this up to a better person if you really want to know more about this unit. It's like just the buzz and being around the sort of the House.me Microhaus ecosystem, both from a customer perspective as well as an investor perspective, has been, you know, very enlightening and cool. And also just seeing how engaged and dedicated the team is. You know, that's obviously something that makes or breaks a company, and to, you know, be here talking about the company 6 years later, I mean, it's pretty impressive what the team has done, and how the product has iterated through these years and is continuing to generate that same level of buzz is pretty amazing.
The marketing campaign we're launching right now is fully self-sustainable homes for perfectionists.
Okay, nice.
What do you think about this?
So I can see the perfectionist aspect of it because, as I mentioned earlier, the products are so well thought out, you know, even down to the lighting. I mean, I'm very like big on like having your home or your dwelling be well lit and lit in the right ways, and having, you know, the right level of automation but not too much automation. And so I think yeah, that could definitely be a good kind of strategy to take.